is an exclusive presentation of Jessup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show right here on Big Dog Country, WIFO-FM in Jessup, 105.5 on your FM dial. Butch over here along with Bob Morgan on this Wednesday morning. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Well, we're waiting for State Representative Bill Werkheiser to call in. And, this guy's up there first thing in the morning. They got all these meetings going on. I mean, we were talking to Senator Tiller yesterday. He had done two Zoom there we go. To Zoom beforehand. And Bob, we're just going to go ahead and let you go ahead and start speaking to him, okay?
Okay, good morning. We got Bill Werkheiser on the phone. Bill, how you doing today?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing good. You sent me that video and news release yesterday about all the excitement up there at the state capitol where the House chamber had to have a representative removed because he wouldn't follow COVID-19 restrictions. Representative David Clark of Beaufort, Georgia. Were you there when all that took place?
Yeah, unfortunately, apparently he's always looking for media attention.
This is the guy that tried to go against Rawson for chairmanship last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, he ran for speaker just a couple of months ago and lost 8 to 2. So he literally convinced one other person to vote for it, and apparently that is not a message that you want.
If you're on your cell phone there, Bill, you're breaking up a little bit.
I am, and I talked to Jonathan last night about, is that any better?
Yeah, as long as you're not moving around. Usually when people are moving around is when there's usually going in and out.
Because I'm just like with Jules in my budget hearing right now. So we hope we'll be able to.
Yeah, it's still going in.
Zoom, so
it's still going in and out a little bit. Yep.
Well, I'm sitting still.
Okay. You got that part down right. I'm not moving, Butch. I'm not moving. All right.
All right. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It's, I had to have that swab stuff up my nose twice a week. I might take a little fight myself, but we're literally just sitting in the cup, and every one of our staff are doing it. Everybody has to do it. So out of 300 or 400 people here at the Capitol, if they can do it, he can do it.
Well, there's no reason why he shouldn't, because even if he doesn't care himself, if he gets the virus, he should be concerned about transmitting it to y'all and to other folks if he happens to get it. I know some people like that. They don't care if they get it, but the thing about it is you don't want to transmit it to other people if you do happen to get it. And so you think he would say, all right, I'm going to help protect my colleagues here by getting tested to make sure I don't have it.
It's called being selfish.
Well, what's interesting, he said he's going to be back today. So is he going to be able to get back in since he hasn't taken the test? I mean, how's that going to work?
Yeah, how is that going to work? So I think he wants to just amp up the show. Does he want, security to take him off in handcuffs? I don't know.
Which state representative is this again?
This is David Clark, Beaufort, Georgia. He actually came in with me, so I know him pretty well. But the last couple of years, he seems to become unhinged.
Why is he doing it other than attention? Because I'm sure he's getting hammered by the Atlanta media. I mean, this is the rules of the chamber. Like they mentioned, it's bipartisan agreement. What is he doing it just for the publicity?
Yeah, because let me turn it down. So, yeah, why is he doing it? He's got just enough, if you look at social media, of people, stand up for what's right. You have your liberty. Don't let people tell you how to live your life. He has enough to do, I guess, people telling him, patting on the back that, I was discussing with my wife last night, I mean, you pick a law. I mean, I the speed limit and another law the rest of our life. What do you mean? Only people tell you what to do.
We are really having a bad connection with you there, Bill. Are you in your usual location where you call in?
Okay, I'll get a speaker. Is this any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'll make it speaker. So, I was thinking about that this morning. The story, people like to point to the story in Daniel about Shadrach, Meshach, going against authority, but they forget the before and after that, where they were very respectful to authority and followed everything that they were told to do. Remember, this was an evil, authoritative government, and the only thing they didn't do is simply focus on when they said they did not worship their God. But every other thing they did, and even when they said they could not do that, they did it in a respectful way, totally opposite of what David is getting on the media, watching the speaker, and that's what frustrates me too. He puts a Bible verse up one day and does something like this the next. Just puts a bad light on everybody, every group that he represents, whether it's the Christian community, the legislative community. It's not good.
But it's just not about him. It's about who he can spread it to, and that's what he has to be. That's what he has to concentrate on. Himself, he might not want to worry about too much, but other people he may spread it to. That's where the concern is. It's just not yourself, But let's move on to another subject there, Bob.
Sure.
What else is going on up there? I mean, I said that was the headline yesterday.
Yeah, it is late yesterday. We are moving at lightning speed, which is something government does not do very often. We are this moment. So the committee met. Even though we weren't up here Monday, the subcommittee. So like I'm public safety. Met all day Monday and then early Tuesday. Passed a subcommittee. And then yesterday morning at 7:30 in the morning, the large preparations house side met. And then we're one of the things is now they're presented, and then there'll be rules at 9 o'clock. The Senate, so Blake and I are kind of hold when they pushed last year. Budget always starts in the House and goes to the Senate. So,
Bill,
they further.
Bill,
Yeah.
do you have a landline there next to you that you could call in on? Because okay, if you could we're gonna hang up and you just call right back on the landline because that's breaking up so bad we can't understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Just I'll hang up and just call right back. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.
You're listening to WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup, Big Dog Country Radio. And we're going to be back in just one moment here with Bill.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup.
When it comes to growing a family business, we understand the business of growing. At First Southern Bank, we've been meeting the needs of South Georgia farmers for over 100 years with competitive ag loan rates, including equipment loans, farmland loans, and lines of credit. First Southern Bank has all the banking tools you need to help keep your growing business growing. First Southern Bank, investing in you since 1907. For loan rates and more, visit FirstSouthernGA.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Peace of mind, that's what you'll have when you have remodeling and construction work done by Local Boys Construction. They take pride in their quality craftsmanship, using only top-of-the-line materials, porches, concrete patios, decks, walks, and driveways, kitchen and bath remodel, hardwood and tile flooring. Local Boys Construction does it all, including custom-built metal storage buildings. Free estimates up to 50 miles from Jessup. Call Tony at 912-402-8216. 912-402-8216. Check out their Facebook page. For guaranteed results, use Local Boys Construction, your one-stop shop for all your residential and commercial needs.
Okay, I think we got Bill back on a better line. Bill, you with us?
Hey, how does this sound?
That's awesome. Yeah,
so much better.
that's a lot better. We hadn't had a chance to talk to you since. Let's go back to the State of the State address. Haven't got your thoughts on that. The governor spoke last week, laid out his plan for the upcoming year. So, just want to get your thoughts on what he had to say.
I thought it was good. It was kind of a twofold. There was the underlying message of, look, we've got these elections behind us, and normally you'd be speaking to the other party, like, let's unite. I think he was speaking more to the Republican Party of, hey, we've been divided long enough. The elections are over. Let's unite. Let's move forward. We've got a lot of work to do. And then, of course, he spent a good bit of his speech, and by the way, in my 7 years, I believe that was the longest State of the State that I can remember, well over an hour. But he laid out his budget priorities, which is kind of what the State of the State is. That's the day we get our budget booked, and as you've talked to Senator Blake and Representative Meeks, he's been fortunate, even with all the economy stuff happening. Been fortunate that we've gotten a lot of CARES money, so that's allowed us to do the $1,000 per state employee one-time payment. But one of the things that should interest you, you always ask about broadband. He's put in $20 million this year, and then $10 million each year going forward to fund a initiative to help with broadband. I don't know how far that money will go, but if we leverage it with federal match dollars and other programs, maybe it'll help us.
Bill, someone just texted in, thank God for landlines, so they can understand you. Okay.
So we better use them while we have them. If they're building houses or like the house I'm in Glenville, we did away with those. I had problems calling y'all. I had to get my administrative assistant to help me. I said, sorry, I'm acting like my kids. I don't know what a landline is.
If it's like the radio station, we have to dial 9 to get out, and sometimes you don't realize that when you're in certain offices.
Yeah.
Bob?
How strong is the support for the governor? He's been through a lot with the elections. People were calling him a rhino, Republican in name only. So how much support in the General Assembly does the Republican governor have?
Well, that's a good question. I think those that he does not have the support that he did last year in our party because of the former president throwing him under the bus, for lack of a better words. So there's that group. I don't think there's many, but is it enough to get him a challenger? Well, as we read yesterday, he does have a challenger. The lady that Candace Taylor that ran for Senate announced yesterday she's going to run against him. Basically on that platform, the pro-Trump platform. So, but I think up here he's got a lot of support, and even those who disagree with him, it's done in a respectful way and not overtly. And so I think we'll get a lot done. He's tried to do a lot of things to unify. You've seen that in appointments and in measures that he's pushing. So I do hope, used to say both parties, now both parties in our party will, see the bigger pictures. We've got 11 million Georgians that depend on us. that's a lot more important than our personal agendas and personal ideologies. So I hope we see that and work together. I think the budget reflects that, and I hope the things that we do, that we can move forward and just put these elections behind us.
Again, people might be just tuning in, and for people who had a hard time here in the beginning of the show, again, the big story up there yesterday was a state representative had to be removed from the House chamber in Atlanta for refusing to be tested for COVID-19 virus. Representative David Clark of Buford, Georgia, you had a front row seat to that. So at least he went when the Georgia State Trooper came. He didn't show any resistance there, but like I mentioned, he's going to try to come back today. I don't see how he can come back if he's not being tested. So that's the question I've got. How's he going to get back in if he's not following the rules and regulations of the House chamber?
Yeah, and a memo came to us last night reminding us, all of us, but it was targeted him, saying that under Rule 4, if you don't get tested, you'll lose your office space. So he no longer has an office now. And if he chooses to keep going down that path and making it a circus every day, I think at some point, they'll intercept him at the door or whatever. I don't know. And, I thought about that too, that here they're causing leadership and folks to plan logistics and, what are they going to do about this? How are they going to handle him when we could be working on other stuff? So, that's a great point. But what if he shows up at his desk every day? Do we have to go through that every day? So, they have the ability, because the reason I know this, there was a guy who actually ran for office who was banned from the Capitol. And so the joke, maybe not a joke, was what if he wins? How does he go to his, how does he enter the chamber? Does he have to get escorted everywhere he goes? So, they could ban him from the Capitol.
It's going to be interesting how it all plays out. That should be.
We will know in about an hour and 45 minutes.
The thing about who's hurting is the people that he represents there in the Buford area, because they're not, their voice is not being heard because he's not going to be in session because of his not wanting to be tested. When it's a regulation, a rule there for the House, just trying to keep everybody safe. I don't understand it.
You say that, but it's always the fringe who are the loudest. So his social media is full of people patting him on the back, saying, great job, stand up to authority. And, so that just adds fuel to the fire. But you're right. The other 99% of his constituents thinks he ought to follow the rules like everybody else. He obeys other rules, come to the Capitol. He drives on the correct side of the road, things like that. So, you can't use the argument that people shouldn't be telling us what to do. And, he kept calling it a medical procedure. I don't know what the legal definition of that is, but good grief, we're spitting into a cup. To me, that's a far cry from a medical procedure.
Let's stick with COVID for a while. Again, the states are helping with the rollout. I know the governor is trying to get more vaccines. How do you see that playing out the next couple of months here in the state of Georgia?
It's getting better every day, and, we got criticized, and rightfully so, for the logistics, but now we flipped that so quickly. We went from 80,000 a day to 120,000 a day, and now we're actually catching up to the supply side from the government, from the federal government. So now the attention is a little off us and on the getting the actual vaccines here. So we still have that issue of, I understand the current administration may authorize the Defense Act, and those who are old enough to remember during World War II, where manufacturers were subsidized to make, machine guns or whatever. We've got some great manufacturers here in Georgia that helped us during the pandemic. So apparently the backlog is soon going to be the actual production of the vaccine.
Okay, again, if you're just tuning in, got State Representative Bill Werkheiser with the Wednesdays with Werkheiser. Read this morning, of course, the gambling issue is going to come back up again, and I see they're using a different approach. They just want to see if they can get it on the ballot and let the people of the state of Georgia vote yea or nay. Is that a possibility?
Well, it is a possibility, and they know more than likely that's how it will pass because, especially in rural Georgia, this is one of those issues that's not a Democrat-Republican. It becomes more of a metro-rural where the rural folks who are more conservative don't want the vices that go along with the gambling industry. But they also know that there's a lot of people who live in those areas who maybe can't be outspoken against it, but if you put them in a ballot with a curtain drawn around them, they'll vote for it. Plus, if you really don't care, that may not drive you to the ballot box. But if you really want to see gambling come, that's more of an incentivizer. So there's several reasons, psychological reasons like that, that would make putting on the ballot more passable.
Well, what I read today is the representative from Savannah is pushing it because I'd like to see one down there on River Street in Savannah.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, to get it on the ballot may be a tougher pull legislatively because to get something on the ballot, you've got to have a 2/3 majority of both the House and the Senate.
Oh, wow.
That may be tough.
Education always a big key. I talked to Blake, who's in charge of the budget. He still tells us that more than half of the budget is geared towards education. It's kind of hard to get everybody else a piece of the pie when education takes over 50%. I think he said it was like 58% this year.
Yeah, I was going to say 57, but I'm not going to argue with him. That's the figure. Yeah, it's close. It's anywhere from 55 to 60%.
He just said it went up from last year.
Again, that number is not exact because when you start throwing in some of the federals and the locals, but anyway, it's close to, for round numbers, 60% of our budget. But what's even more amazing, when you throw in what we call the top five, transportation, healthcare, the prisons, we actually eat up 87% of our budget. And so that leaves 13% for everybody else to come tugging on your coat to fund programs. So,
we did get a text message a little bit ago. It says, any talk about state employee raises? State employees raises.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that the $1,000
that's for teachers.
move from teachers to all state. Well, I know bus drivers, all those who are in education. I'm not sure about state employees, or I guess they're referring to people with the Department of Transportation.
Right. I guess they're talking about other state employees.
But again, the reason we can do that for the teachers is when the feds give us money, and they give us a ton of money, it's in the billions, but it always comes with strings attached.
Always does.
So they're allowing us, because schools have been hurt. You know, you can make the argument, but so is everybody else in the economy. They're allowing us to fund payroll with those Fed dollars.
Yeah, those Fed dollars that we're getting is going toward the educators and the bus drivers and stuff like that. That's where that extra $1,000 is coming from.
Yeah,
and I think that's where the confusion is. That's not coming from the state budget. That's coming from the federal government. That's the federal. That's the Federal CARES Act money that's coming in. So I think that's where people are getting confused.
Right.
But I'm sure that y'all talking about it, though.
Yeah, and so it comes from the feds. We have some latitude on how to spend it. And so the obvious question, well, why is Governor Kemp saying that in his State of the State? Why is he taking credit for it? Well, because we get the opportunity to spend it in areas that we want, the way we want, as long as it meets certain guidelines. And education is one of those guidelines. We simply would not have the money to fund an increase this year because because even though we say we're not taking a cut, we're basing that off last year that had a 10% decrease. So when we say it's a zero budget year, it's a zero budget minus the 10% that we took out last year.
I may be asking you a question you may not know. I went to a school board meeting last night, and they mentioned that $1,000 stipend. They're going to give it to every school employee here, full-time employee. But the school superintendent mentioned the legislature doesn't have much to do with it, but the State Department of Education still has to approve that money. I should have asked him, but I'll ask you, do you have any idea why they have to approve it?
I do not know that.
Okay, I'm just curious because that's what he said. That's what they're waiting on before they hand out the checks here locally, that the State Department of Education in mid-February is going to approve that money and then have to approve it by the State Department of Education. So I was just
seems like
curious.
that'll be a formality, since the governor got the money from the feds and the state legislature got the money from the feds. Seems like it'd be a formality, but I guess you got to go through the proper channels.
It probably is just a matter of formality. And again, it's if you know how federal government works, there's a lot of hoops to go through, and so that's just probably one of the hoops. I think it's a done deal, but we still got to go through the motions. It's just like when we announce things in the budget here, we know they're going to happen, but we've got to get them out of subcommittee, full committee. We've got to get over to the Senate where they go through subcommittee, full committee, go through rules, vote on it. I mean, there's literally 7 to 9 steps we've got to go through, but we know on day one it's going to happen.
All right.
They haven't said much about the security anymore. Is there still all the security around the state capitol, or is that kind of diminished?
It's diminished some, but it's funny you brought that up. It is cold and rainy here. Had to get my umbrella out coming across the street, and there was 2 poor souls standing there in the pretty hard rain with all kind of gear strapped to them. I mean, and it is cold, and you know how cold and rain mix. And they're standing on their feet. I don't know how long their shifts are, but I made a point to walk a little bit out of my way to thank them, because how would you like to have that job?
Well, Bill, it's always good to have you on the Wednesdays with Werkheiser, and we'll let you get back. Glad things are going well with the budget. Again, we'll talk again with Blake on Tuesday, but from all reports, it seems like the budget process is going a lot smoother than it did last year.
Yeah, and it's going quickly, and I never finished that train of thought that, about the lightning speed. Some of the rumor is that we're going to get, because the numbers keep going up on COVID, that we're going to get the amended budget out and possibly take a break like we did last year. So that's why we're trying to get this done quick as possible. In fact, most times we take Friday off. We're going to be here for this Friday and then have Saturday and Sunday off.
Okay, well, we'll check in with you next Wednesday. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on the Butch and Bob Show.
All right, thank you.
Look it up.
All right, State Representative Bill Werkheiser right here on Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup. Well, Bob, anything from the school board meeting you want to highlight before we head out of the show this morning?
Well, as we mentioned, in case you missed it, you mentioned that $1,000 stipend, what the superintendent recommended to our local board, that $1,000 from the CARES Act didn't include parapros or pre-K teachers, so it didn't include a lot of full-time employees of the school system. So what the Board of Education did last night is any full-time school employee will receive the $1,000, plus they're going to add more money into the $1,000 stipend so that they all net $1,000 in the check. So they hope to have that to everybody at the school system in Wayne County by spring break sometime in March. So that had to be voted on last night, but that was the recommendation by the superintendent. During this pandemic, he thought they need to be rewarded and should get the full $1,000. So they'll put more money in there so that they net $1,000. And they also include the parapros and the pre-K teachers, all full-time employees with the school system. So that was done last night by the Board of Education.
Well, good news for all them then. That's great. All right, anything else? That's it?
Can't think of anything else.
All right, Bob, you have a wonderful day. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, First Southern Bank, Local Boys Construction, and Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings.
The world famous Butch and Bob Show.